to predictability. The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a face of somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look.
Author of Married for Children, explains in her article that Malaysian people get married just before Chinese New Year to add a new family member. Okay, so unlike the U.S., people don't get married because they're in love. They get married because their parents planned the marriage. And this is sometimes, it's bad because they don't really love each other, so they insult each other. For example, like she mentions how at a wedding, a bride in her speech profoundly thanked her parents and bride and siblings, while the groom joked that his new bride had been pre-approved by his family like a credit card. So, it's really bad because they're just together because they're forced to be. Also, they also have to be married at the age of 30, and men have to be married at the age of 40. So unlike here, they have to be married by the time they can't choose otherwise. So instead of asking, what do you do, what's your work, they ask, are you married? It seems like you have to be married. Is there any questions you guys want to ask?
So it's like a pre-arranged marriage?
Right, yeah.
Like a mail-order bride?
I mean, not all, she told me, she said that in, where she's from, not all people do this anymore, but there are some people that actually, that the parents plan a marriage. So
there's nobody of any woman above 30 that's not married, pretty much. Or is that just?
There's two.
Okay, so it's strongly influenced that.
And I think another stereotype is how we can see not only women or men 30 to 40, but younger people also get married by arranged marriage too. We can see that too. There's just another stereotype, and then this is one of the stereotypes.
They get pre-arranged usually 12 or something like that.
Not 12. Basically after high school or after you complete high school. Yeah.
So when they get when it's arranged, do they have to have money, or how do they choose the girl for?
Well, most of the time the parents have covered most of the costs of the expenses of the wedding and such, and then when they get mature, when they can find their own money and whatever, so that's when their parents give all the responsibilities fully to them and not them.
Okay, so they're just friends, they're friends of the grooms. Okay, so it's not like you have to have have to have your career or your family. Yeah.
So if someone hits the ages of 30 and 40, do they have no choices of getting married, or they're just going to be single for the rest of their life? They do?
It's just I think this is one of the mentality that they think by the age of 30 or 40 you already have to get married because what are you gonna do if you get older? You see your friends already have so many kids, and then you're the only one that doesn't have kids and doesn't have family.
Now, what if the person one of the person that's getting married, let's say they're already in love with somebody else, and their parents plan a marriage? Can they tell them, listen, I'm already in love with somebody else I want to be with?
That happens a lot, though, actually.
Really?
This happens a lot, and there's also incident where they put all this drama into TV show or into books and all stuff, So it's one of the things that happens, but at the same time, they cope to it. I think with most people usually have either by discussions or they're gonna have like all this drama in their family. Like, the bride ran away, or probably the groom ran away, and all those stuff.
And run away together.
Yeah.
So, is there any other questions?
So I did my research on hurtful communications that can go between an interpersonal relationship. And I did it between the traditions and policies that Malaysia versus Indonesia. Now, the conflict between Malaysia and Indonesia is that Indonesia believes that Malaysia is losing a lot of its culture and traditions. It's beginning to change and become more open to Western influences into the community of it. And, even though Malaysia believes, and they say it, that their policies and traditions and culture and the way they act and carry themselves is very open to changes somewhat, but they still believe that Islam is going to be a huge benefactor into what they do as a country as a whole, because that is a main religion, and they kept that when they fought for their independence back in the 1900s. Now, the main way you can see it now with the Western influence is going is that weddings are becoming less traditional according to the Islamic religion, and that, piggybacking off of what Marlene said earlier, that people are somewhere becoming choice opinionated, and even in these bigger cities, it seems that things are becoming to change because of Western influences flowing in and out of them. With that, I believe that Islam is kind of losing it in Malaysia a little bit, and that's just really gotten the Indonesian people really upset. Is that even though Malaysia is supposed to be a big Islamic culture and they're supposed to be kind of strict with it, like Indonesia is, Malaysia is losing it slowly over time, and that's what the main conflict is between the two countries. Are there any questions?
So in like the weddings, you're seeing more pairs up with like different background, like racial backgrounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now is that what they're saying is the influence of Western culture, because it's all we see over here now.
I believe now, especially, that is true. Yes, that in Indonesia they like to keep it very pure genetics. They keep the same, no mixtures in the family bloodline and all stuff like that. In Malaysia now, it seems that, someone who might be Caucasian skinned, at least they come in, they might even be born in Malaysia, but because they have their skin tone, they look differently from them. That wedding may becomes less frowned upon, or more frowned upon between people if they see it out in public, especially if they go to the wedding or the traditional people see that, So.
Where do you see the Western influences in 10 years from now?
I believe Western influences that are going to grow in the very big populated cities in the area, because Malaysia is a very big tourist attraction to people outside of the country, even on the western side where we live. And people are going to go there, and they go there to explore the culture, and some people are going to stay and hang out. And, people eventually fall in love, and I think that people are going to bring some of their influences from America, from Europe, and it's going to slowly integrate into the bigger city parts of Malaysia, because that's what they're going to be. And I feel like Malaysia's going to change a lot in the cities where the big tourists are, but I think out in the countryside, it's still going to be very traditional, very hold on strong, kind of like how it is here. Questions?
So what you're saying is that their rules are like so much, like they're very strict compared to Malaysian culture. They're just like very liberal. They have become very liberal. Like she was telling me, she said that not like how I'm talking about how they're transplants or marriages or whatever. And she told me that some people do that, but most people they're really more liberal about that.
Yeah, Malaysia's really been kind of open, and they said that even in their declaration when they first started freedom, that they would be open to changes in the same sense, and where even though just like Indonesia, they're just really mad that they feel like they're losing connections to Islam at the same time. But yeah, they are becoming a lot more liberal, open to new things in a sense.
This is an article that I found. It's Victims of Groupthink by Irving Janis. I've got some examples. I got 3 out of the 8 examples that they allow us to get this illusion of invulnerability, belief in inherent morality, and self-censorship. The illusion of invulnerability is it's an illusion of vulnerability between, probably it could be a married couple, that they're invulnerable and that they have to do it, just like a traditional thing, like when they're chosen to get married but without knowing their spouse. belief in inherent morality is that they have to have the morals of their, of their religion. They don't have to, or of their culture. And self-censorship is censorship is just showing that, you can't do some certain things and some things you can. And those are a few examples that I did find off of that article.
They also talked about groupthink. They said that it's like you're more vulnerable to groupthink when like the people are from the same background. Like you don't have right now, I guess we're not because we have people from different cultures and stuff.
Yeah, because if you're in a group of all the same things, you don't want to stand out or be different,
Right,
so
exactly.
you go with the pack so you don't look
Odd.
Yeah, even though nowadays that's becoming less the case, and then more people are like branching out and being their own thing.
But it's more younger people that fall into
Yeah.
think than older ones.
Yeah. They're becoming more modern because that's just how it is.
Right, like an example, remember when we first started like thinking of a title, everyone was like, yeah, that's great, we came up with the title, but
Jasmine didn't like that,
Right.
so we changed it sometimes.
that's very good.
Malaysian culture, this is how the father and the daughter greet each other. In the wedding, this is how the wife greets the husband, by kissing hand. And then unlike traditional American weddings, the husband kisses the woman on the forehead.
How women greet each other in everyday life and also in weddings.
Unlike women greetings, men greet each other like American traditional greetings, by handshakes.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What do you think about our attire, some Malaysian kind of wear?
I think it's really nice and fancy. I especially like you guys because it's purple and purple is my favorite color. So yeah, I like it. It's nice.
Anything about me? Yeah.
You're very handsome.
Oh, thank you. What do you think about our Malaysian wear?
I think it's a great outfit. It looks good on y'all.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Really brings out my eyes.
Yeah.
Good.
That's pretty casual. I feel like we dressed up. I mean, I think it's okay, but I think it's
Not too over the top, you think?
a little too over the top.
Over the top?
Yeah.
Alright. Thank you so much.
So this is what the men would wear every day, and this is what the women would wear every day. Do you think it's a little bit too much, or like
No,
it's
it's just,
perfect?
yeah, it just shows your culture or maybe religion or whatever about you. I guess it speaks to your own personal traits, stuff like that. That's it.
Today we are going to do an interview of one of our special friends we've asked to come in for us. And since we're doing Malaysian culture based on the weddings, we asked one of our friends who is married to come in, and her name is?
Hi, my name is Juan Robiato Adonia Juan, but you can call me Juan.
So, Juan, how long have you been married?
I actually recently got married on September.
September. Ooh, this is nice.
How do you think other people outside of your cultural group perceive you?
In general, most of my friends look at my culture as very traditional, because there are a lot of things that they can do, but I have like limitations, just because my culture is mostly overlapped with my religion. Because majority of Malaysians are Muslim, so at the same time the culture are overlapping with the religion. Like for example, how my friends, they can drink or they can go party, and that's something that we don't do back home. So when we come here in America, we still not comfortable doing all these things, and they would look at us as, oh, it's very boring, or you just, very limited, you can't do so many things, or you can't have fun.
So how do you view others outside your culture? For example, weddings here and weddings from Malaysian culture. How do they differ?
Okay. It's actually a lot of difference. Wedding here is very modernized and it's very liberal. It's freedom, like you can do anything. And the one thing that I see here, they have the main common thing is the white dress. But back home, our wedding dresses are not white. They're very colorful. Yeah, yellow, green, like very bright colors. And also, normally in our wedding, we do it, traditionally we do it at our home. Like we rent tents and we do it in our backyard and in front of our houses. And the road is basically closed for the wedding. So it's very like, it's like family, like we invited the whole neighborhood. It's like anybody can come and just have, enjoy it. It's like a feast. But here it's more close, very private. Only close friends and family are invited. But there, like you invite like the entire village. Like, and it's open from the morning till like nighttime. And also even this is mostly about food also. We don't have a lot of dancing though, but here it's a lot of dancing and partying, drinking. But over there it's basically eating traditional food and just meeting friends and family.
So how was your wedding? Did you like your wedding?
I like my wedding. However, since I did my wedding here, my family they couldn't make it. So none of my families could make it here. So it's just friends and family. It's just friends basically, and family from the mosque basically. And we're planning to do a real wedding, like another wedding with traditional back home, maybe next year. Yeah. So that would be a much better one, like where all my family can come and gather. Yeah, because we all live in different states. So the wedding is actually, people are actually excited when there's a wedding because they can actually finally meet and hang out. It's like Christmas for us.
Different religions and we all like have different perspective of each other, but we still all like one. We still all human, right? So do you think we are actually more alike with each other or not?
Yes. At the end of the day, we're all humans, and we value the same qualities, the same things. Like we have to, respect each other, respect the elders. We, always look up after each other, respect each other. So that's basically, no matter where you're coming from, your culture, how you were raised, those are the values that we all always cherish. And I believe that, with all those values, if we practice it every day, we can get this, the world peace. And that's how we want for the same thing. We already seek happiness. We already seek for peace. And so I believe we all like.
How do you maintain your relationship with one another in your culture?
In my culture, food is definitely what brought people together. Because Malaysia consists of three main races, Malay, Chinese, and Indian. So we are rich in food. And you would just, your house always have food, and because you're always going to be expecting somebody to knock on the door and without invitation. People just come and visit you, and you also do the same. And it's like gathering basically. You gather, you meet families all the time, and we always have to have this welcoming environment in our house, and that always make us wanna be around each other and talk to each other. Always keep in touch. Yeah.
Does your culture ever experience conflict? And if you guys do, how do you fix the problems?
Sometimes, like in wedding, for example, the parents, they're very traditional. In Malay culture, when somebody asks for a woman for hand in marriage, the parents would they ask for a certain amount of money. And then sometimes they ask like too much. or too high for the men. You know, I'm sure it's the same issues happening here too. And sometimes we don't, you know, and again, Malay culture is very much overlapping with Islam, our religion, and it's always not a good thing to spend too much money on a wedding. And we believe that the least amount of money will always lead to longer wedding.
That's true. Less debt.
Yes, exactly, less stress. And so we always, when the parents expect you to, okay, you have to do a certain way. Sometimes, yeah, we don't agree, but at the same time, we don't want to overstep our boundary because they're the parents, they're the elders. We normally obey the parents, and we would explain. We have to really speak with a very, very polite and soft tone, explain to them, what's your plan? How do you want? What do you expect to achieve in the future? What do you care? What do you look for in a man? So make them see that it's not about finance, it's not about money. And say that maybe the money can be used to, instead of spend on a wedding, maybe you can use it to prepare yourself for the future. Maybe buy a house or save it for the children. So make them see that the money is there. It's not like the man cannot afford, but it's better to use the money for something that is useful rather than just spend it on a wedding just one day.
Right. So what was traditional about your wedding, and then what was modern in the sense of here in American culture, and then why did you choose it to be like that?
Okay. I'm going to start by talking about the wedding in general, and then I'm going to talk about my wedding. So in general, for Malaysian wedding, the traditional is like I said earlier, we wear traditional clothes, and our traditional wedding dresses are not really white. They're all very colorful, and traditionally we normally do the wedding at our home. But right now, is a lot of places, a lot of people have modernized their wedding. They do it at a hotel, they rent spaces somewhere, so that they don't have to do a lot of cleaning at their house later on. But still, there's still a lot of people would actually still do their wedding at their house. And but for me, I didn't get a chance to do that because I'm overseas. For me, in my wedding, one thing that I think is very traditional is I actually went through an arranged marriage. So I didn't we weren't dating. We only meet a few times, like at least actually a couple times. So first time, do you like the person? Yes. Then second time, we talk a little bit more, and then the third time, do you want to proceed to marriage? And that's it.
Is that like an option, or you have to? What if you don't like each other?
Yeah, if you don't like each other, that means you don't have to be that person anymore and just move on.
So you liked him?
Yeah, so I liked him. I see a lot of values in him, and I agreed to marry him, and then that's it. And then we getting to know each other until now because we actually just got married. So it's actually a pretty scary thing. So that's actually something that has been practiced traditionally,
right.
But it started to reduce a lot nowadays because a lot of people see, how could you marry someone without getting to know somebody? Right? How can you live with someone if you haven't tried to live with that person? So it takes a lot of risk. And so that's one thing that I think is very traditional. I've never done it before. It's something that's and a lot of my friends see it like, how could you do that? Especially American friends. Like, how could you do something like that? They're scared. They're actually scared for me. But yeah, it's something like it's your heart. You feel it. You can feel whether it's something that you should go with it or you don't. So it's about how you see that person and you can tell. And also in my wedding, I didn't get a chance to do it at my home. But if I get a chance when I go back to my home countries, I definitely want to do that. But here in my for my wedding, we actually did it at the mosque. Yeah, it's a very small space. I didn't get to invite like the whole village or the whole neighborhood, but just close friends. And yeah, I didn't really get an opportunity to put a lot of Malay culture in my wedding.
Right, because your parents were
Yes,
overseas.
because I'm here by myself. All my family are back home, and my husband is an African, so the food is actually African style. Yeah, so it's a lot of his culture incorporated in the wedding, not in mine. But back home, it probably is going to be more of my culture.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty good.
You lift my heart up when the rest of me is down. You enchant me even when you're not.
That's how it is. Too done. Hold up. This is the blessing, You guys want to do it too? What do they do? The father to the son?